Hey, how's everybody doing? It's Chelsea here, and I am just about to bring my very dear friend Leah on for our weekly live. Today we are talking all about giving yourself permission to attract more abundance into your life. So I'm hoping that Leah will come on shortly, and she'll be here. There she is. I think this is gonna happen a lot more smoothly than it has in the past. Look at that. That was just
Hi.
effortless.
So glad.
I'm impressed. Yeah, amazing. So we're here. Welcome, Leah. Thanks for joining me. I'm really excited about this chat today. I was just kind of sharing as I was bringing you on that we are going to be talking about giving yourself permission to attract more abundance in your life and how we have experienced that and really what that means for someone that might not be clear what it means. So it's going to be a really fun chat. I can't wait to start. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great conversation just before our call. You know how we have those conversations before we jump on live, um, and they always fire me up, and I'm very, very grateful for them. Yeah, so they will definitely lead into this topic, that super important topic around money, around prosperity, around attracting more of that and other greatness and wealth and riches into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about it. I'm actually, Chelsea, I'm going to share this video as we're online. I have my laptop here, so I'm going to do that.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. I had a good chat with you as well. I think that learners, for everyone watching, Leah and I are really amazing co-creators. And if you ever get the chance to find, someone in
Yes.
your work that you can, just like work with and have such amazing ideas that come out of these conversations, it's just like you're such a blessing, and I'm just really grateful for you. And so
Thank
it's just,
you.
yeah, I'm really fired up equally and so excited to chat with you and with everyone that's watching. Thank you for watching, everyone. I did want to say that we
Mhm.
are going to be making an announcement at the
We
end
are.
of our call today. We have
Mhm.
a holiday gift that we wanted to. The gift isn't coming yet, but we wanted to let you know about it, and we wanted to let you know how you could get in on that gift. So we're going to be talking about that at the end of the call today. So make sure to watch to the end if you're catching the replay, or if you're able to. You can always come back to the call, and just make sure that you catch the announcement at the end so that you can find out more about what we're going to be sharing with you and how you can be on the receiving end of that gift.
Yes, very, very exciting because the holidays are coming up. I know that it's, American Thanksgiving very soon, but also the Christmas, Hanukkah, and all those other good holidays are coming up too. So,
Yeah, it's a very timely topic as well. So we're excited to share it. Welcome everyone who is on the call right now. Thank you for being here with us.
hi.
Just so you know, we're here talking today about giving yourself permission to attract more abundance in your life. So I think we're ready to get going and get started. For anyone watching now or even later, feel free to post any questions or comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts, and we would love to answer any questions that you may have that come out of this call. This is definitely a topic. Leah and I were chatting about this a bit before our call and talking about the topic of the law of attraction, the topic of
Mm.
abundance and attracting wealth using the practices that we're going to be discussing here in this call, and how it can be sometimes maybe hard to grasp or hard to understand. And one of the things that we really identified as we were chatting is when we're talking about money and abundance and wealth in this way, it's spiritual. It's a spiritual approach to finances. And I think Leah and I, we both are going to be sharing a little bit about how we got started in life, and kind of what we learned about money and finances growing up. And that's not something that we necessarily learned. Hi Lynn, how are you? My aunt is watching
Mhm.
from the UK. So
Oh,
nice.
hi. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's something that, for me personally, and I'm excited to hear your story as well, Leah, has shifted and evolved over time through my education, my training, my school of hard knocks and, all of the things that I've learned along the way. And I think that, at least probably between the two of us, we probably have a good 20 years of knowledge and training in this particular topic because it's such an important topic as well. So I would love to hear, Leah, how this became a relevant topic for you in your life, and just kind of what your story is that brought you to where you are today.
Wow. Okay. And I can't wait to hear about yours too. I feel like I've been studying this forever, but in reality, I've been studying it since I became aware of it right after I quit my job and started a business. And I wouldn't advise that anybody does that in the way that I did it. But I like to do things kind of like backwards and then figure it out as I'm going along, kind of like, jumping out of the plane and then putting together the parachute as I go down. So yeah, it just like came to me, like I had never actually like thought about money in that way, where it actually takes like some sort of money mindset that I need to think positively about money. I grew up in a pretty like well-off family, but that spoke about money in a negative way. So like, those people, oh, well, they're rich just because they probably do something illegal. And, people with money have big cars and big egos. And, just like everything I hear was just like, it was not a good thing to have money. And so I would stay away from it. But I, as from the time I was a teenager to, let's say, like mid-20s, I made a lot of money in retail sales and selling timeshare, where I didn't really have to work for it, like it just like came to me. And I feel like it was kind of like when I would get it, as soon as I would get it, I would spend it because that's all I knew. I was like, I can't have all this money. Money is for mean people. And so, it's all like, because it is, it was all like subconscious. And I didn't think that if I could ever have like that much money. When I go back and I actually did it in a course where I calculated how much money I made within that period, I would say over 7 years, that was a lot more money than I had ever made in my like job, like formal job after university. And I couldn't believe it, right? But it was all gone because I had never been taught that you need to really, they would say like save money, get a credit card, but don't really use it very much, build up your credit, like the formal things that good parents usually say, right? There's one thing, Chelsea, I love that you talked about money being linked to spirituality. And I completely today, like I totally believe in this. And I remember I had like a deep wound to heal when I was little, where when my parents got divorced, my father he seemed really, really poor. Like he didn't have any money or so he said, because he had to pay all kinds of bills and stuff. Of course, it's a couple separating, right? So they're paying their stuff individually.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to him, you know what, or thinking, I'm not going to ask for too much because if I do, then I'll be a burden. And that is the story that I grew up with. I'll never ask for anything because it will cost money, right? And so I remember going to actually he had to buy us clothes, and we walked by a secondhand store. And I said, Dad, you can go in there for us. Like we could get clothes at the secondhand store. It will help you with your money so you won't have to spend as much. And from then on, I would only buy secondhand clothes, right? Even as an adult, I was like, oh, I'll just buy secondhand clothes. It's good for the environment. But what I was doing was I kept on feeding into that story where I don't deserve more than that. And that was huge for me. And then in doing all the money mindset work and, meditations and activations and healing and stuff like that, I realized that I was still holding on to the fact that we are always poor. And if I do make money, then I'm going to be betraying my father. And I can't do that, right? Like the old childhood story. But, fast forward, I don't know, 30 years later, I don't have to do that anymore. So I've done so much healing since, and it was all around, it actually didn't have anything to do with money. It had to do with, hurting parents or feeling like you're letting go of a tribe or whatever it is, right? Like, so it was lots of healing, lots of generational healing had to be done for me to launch myself as a business owner, and to bring in the kind of income that I generate. And even as I'm generating more and more income, it's like, okay, can I, like, am I worthy of this? Of course I am. Like, why wouldn't you be, right?
Yeah.
It's always like going back to that question too. So that's basically how my money mindset, or, healing money story came about. And I think, like, in listening, like the viewers listening to this, I would love to hear what are the things that are holding you back from generating more income in your life, and why are you not addressing that for yourself? Yeah. So
that's a great question.
how about you, Kelsey?
Well, I just wanted to kind of touch on some of the things that you said, and I think it is really important to, turn this on anyone that's listening to this and watching this, so that they can do some of the introspection that needs to come along with this. It's almost like you're excavating, in a mine. Some of the things that we're talking about that we've uncovered are just so deep seated and so deeply rooted in who you are, that you can be unaware of it. And when it finally kind of comes to light, that you're like, oh, this is how I've been relating to money my whole life, it's incredibly powerful and liberating, because then you do have the ability to heal and release from it. And so I think one of the really important things that we want to highlight is just getting so deeply aware. And it's so important with any aspect of healing, getting so deeply aware of who you are, and what's really going on, where you come from, what it's all been. And sorry, I'm just going to turn off the chime on my phone. And
We
really,
can't hear it, by the way.
oh, good. Okay. And just get so clear on this, so that you can heal and release anything that may be holding you back. So that was one thing that I was thinking about as you were talking, and as you posed the question to the people watching, for them to think about for themselves. And then the other thing that you talked about that I think is such an important principle, and I thought about it when you were talking about, some of the wounding around, your early days, that, like money is bad, or that if people have it, it means that they're doing bad things, or they got it by going about, activities that were shady, or, things like that, right? And I think that's such an important principle in this conversation that we're having. One of the most important principles to highlight, and to really get so clear on, is that money is innocent. All it is it's a resource, and it can be used by good, or it can be used by evil, but it's in and of itself, it's innocent. And it can be such a confusing thing, because especially if you're in a healing business, or any kind of modality where you're helping other people, there's a lot of guilt that can come along with charging, a certain amount, or with accepting payment for your hard work. There can be this guilt where you feel like, when I ran my business like this for a long time, I would have visits with my clients, and we would run over our allotted time, and I wouldn't charge extra. I was giving time away for free, and it felt like I was really running my business like a charity for a long time, and it wasn't serving me, and I was exhausted, and I don't think it was really serving my clients either, because one of the things that I think, and I know this is off topic, I don't want to get into the topic of healthcare or anything like that, but I think that, like in Canada, Leah and I are both in Canada, and most of our healthcare is free. And sometimes we don't necessarily, somebody got triggered. We're getting some like angry. This is a triggering topic.
Oh, right? Yes. So just a side note, it's not actually free. We pay a lot of taxes.
Oh yeah. Oh, is that what makes someone mad?
They're like, what?
I don't know if that's what made someone mad, but basically what I'm saying is sometimes we don't appreciate it, right? Like I think sometimes when there's a value attached with something, I have no idea what that was. It'll be interesting to see what happened there. It maybe have just been like some random person passing through, and they didn't like what we were talking about. But it's interesting, like we talked about this at the beginning, before we came on this call, that this is a triggering topic. This is something that can really bring up all sorts of things. And if it is bringing up things for you in your, your world, if what we're talking about makes you feel upset, it's really something to kind of deeply question, like if this is something that you're wanting to grow in. If you want to stay mad, go ahead and stay mad. You're welcome to. We're not here to tell people what to do. We're here to share this knowledge and this information that has helped us so powerfully in our lives. So,
yeah,
anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us, I'm curious to know about your story when it comes to money mindset and healing and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my big themes that I kind of grew out of in my early childhood days was to tie a lot of guilt with money, have this association of guilt. I was fortunate, born into, a family where we really had everything that we wanted, and, was so lucky to, be able to go on trips and, just have all of this wonderful support, wonderful fun things that, we could do. But there was all of this underlying guilt around it. For example, I would go shopping with my mom and we would go to, like a nice store. We would buy really nice stuff. And when we came home, she would put it in a bag from like a cheaper, like whatever, like a Walmart store or something like that when we came home. And so the message that I got there is that there's something bad or wrong with treating yourself, or with really, like spending or just spending money on something that is for you, rewarding yourself. And so there was a lot of guilt and confusion about that. That's something that kind of stuck with me. And then I think there was also a lot of confusion for me in my later years about and this is an interesting thing, because I think this is something we're kind of shifting through, the roles of men and women and couples, and how that relates with money. Because I was given different advice than my brothers were within my family. I was given different financial advice, and I saw that, I noticed that. I think it was sort of like, again, that old school that, I'm going to get married one day and someone's just going to come and take care of me. This Prince Charming is going to come and sweep me off my feet. So I didn't really get a lot of good education or training on money, So I think that there's a lot of wounding there as well. And I think one of the most important lessons that I learned from that now as an adult is it doesn't matter what you learned. No matter what you learned, as adults, we get to unlearn whatever it was that we learned, and we get to choose and start to forge ahead. So I did go through, some tumultuous experiences throughout my life to get to where I am now. But really, this deep learning and this deep healing of some of those things, and of course, dealing with the guilt and realizing that I am my own hero. I get to stand on my own 2 feet, and I get to, be a businesswoman and really just learn all of the skills and ways that I can really attract the wealth and attract the clients in my life, or in my business. So, I think a lot of it is just sort of, like you said, it's healing that. And then, of course, the next steps that I think we'll probably share a few more principles of is really what, the law of attraction and abundance is all about, and how you get that. So, I think we'll chat a little bit more about that throughout this call.
Yeah, I really loved how you're talking about the guilt around money. Guilt and shame, they go hand in hand, right? And feeling like, okay, well, when I buy something for myself, either I need to put it in like a cheaper store kind of bag.
You have to hide it, yeah.
Yeah, you have to hide it. And that's like a lot of the money work or the healing work comes from the sense of worthiness, worthiness, where we're like, okay, well, do I deserve that? And your story of your mom, I know she was doing it. she wasn't doing it on purpose. She was doing the goodness of her heart, probably. And maybe that's something that she had been taught or had issues with herself, right? But it's all good. Like, that's what she knew and that's what she taught. And the same thing for, the way that my dad presented money towards me, like that he didn't have enough. That was also, it turned into like an issue of like self-worth. That I know that a lot of women that we help have that particular worthiness issue where it has nothing to do with money. It has all to do with like, am I good enough to charge these prices, make this money, save this money, spend it on myself or my loved ones, or on a course, or on coaching, even making big investments. These are all issues that need to be brought up when it comes to healing around the topic of worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you brought that up. Yes, and then guilt and shame come into play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, actually, I wanted to talk about there's two things. This is really, really interesting. These are I want to give two tips that I work with my clients, and I'm sure you've done these things, Chelsea. One of the things is when you go to the grocery store, or you go and buy something for yourself. So, you have certain instances where you're going to use your debit card or cash, or however you buy things. And just notice, like, be very conscious and aware of the feelings that come up when you're actually purchasing something with either cash or your debit card or your credit card. Like, those are all different mediums to purchase things. And then the second thing is, like, what are you actually buying? So do you feel really good about, buying gifts for others? Do you feel really crappy about, buying things for yourself, nice things for yourself? Do you feel like you need to go to the secondhand store? Not that there's anything wrong with that, right? But do you feel like you could buy brand new things for other people, and then, kind of be like, okay, I'm not really going to buy these kinds of things for myself? Just notice the kinds of feelings that come up. And I remember doing this exercise. I actually do it at least once a month, when I go, so we're in Canada, I go to Tim Hortons and I go through the drive-through, right? And what I'll do is I will pay for the person behind me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and so I do that because, like, it's like a pattern interrupt, basically. I'm doing it because I want to feel like prosperous and abundant and giving towards a complete stranger, and see how that actually feels. If it's something that our viewers or audience have done, please let us know in the comments below. Let us know how you felt about it. That really opens yourself up to more giving and receiving, right? So it's like an energy right there. Yeah. Is it something that you've ever done?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, in different ways, and I love it. And I've been on the receiving end of it as well. I remember once, and this is also kind of just tying in with parenting as well. But I was in a grocery store once when my oldest daughter was a toddler, and she had kind of like, we had a couple things in our basket, and she had like a little meltdown. You know how kids can have, and it's one of those ones where you just are like, okay, we're out of here. I just dropped everything, decided I wasn't going to buy it, left. And then this lady came running out of the store. She had bought my groceries for me and handed them to me. And, and she was like, I wish I could throw a bottle of wine in there. I'm a mama too, so it's kind of like just that amazing act of giving and receiving, right? Like when you see someone that needs it, but also to be on the receiving end of it is equally as beautiful as well. And I think that, just from what you're saying, I think it's so true. It's like, it's releasing, especially when you're on the giving side of it. Because I think sometimes we can, if we're stressed about money, if we're worried about money, we can have this fear and we want to kind of like hold it close. But this act of giving, even if it's just a small amount, even if it's just buying a coffee for someone and showing that, just energetically, that it's sort of releasing that fear and having that belief that this will come back to you in one way or another, or you'll be on the receiving end of it another time. So yeah, I agree. I think it's so beautiful. And I also loved what you said about just getting really in tune and clear on how you feel when you're at the cash register. And I've never thought about that, but I think it's probably a different feeling when you're paying in cash versus when you're paying with your credit card.
Yeah.
Because you're not really, when you're paying with your credit card, it's not really, you're borrowing money to buy it, right? And so that can have its own weight to it. So it's important to really have that awareness and to have that ability to then take what you kind of learn from that and heal through it. I mean, so much of this stuff can be healed, and that's what we do in our work, and that's what we've been doing both individually for many years, because sometimes there can be layers to this. Sometimes you work through one thing and then something else comes up. There's always something new to discover. And just to kind of add on to what you were saying about just keeping in mind your thoughts about when you're spending, it's also important to really be aware of your thoughts when you're just thinking about your finances in general. I think so often we can, again, just be worried about the bills that are coming in, worried about the expenses, worried about all of this stuff. And we forget, and I think one of the most important principles, again, in the law of attraction is always to be first and foremost grateful for what you have right now. I think it's wonderful to want more and to have a drive and a passion and, to try to pursue more and more in your life. It's just really hard to do that, especially when you're using the law of attraction. If you're kind of looking around your room and judging or being hard on yourself for your current circumstances. And I personally have, even though I was raised in, a great family, kind of went through some darker times, some lower moments. There were times where I was paying for gas in my vehicle with change. Like there were times that things got really, really stressful. And I think that was, as I was learning through all of this, one of the most important things was to really, no matter what stage I was at, still be grateful, but then have that vision for what I wanted in my life, and holding true to that over the fear.
Oh, absolutely. And that kind of ties in with our talk from last week when it comes to raising your vibration, right? So like, in those moments where you don't know how you're going to pay for your gas, to just stop and be grateful for everything else that you have.
Yeah.
And then maybe put on some really loud music and like do something else just to like change it up, right? Because it's so hard to be stuck in, especially as entrepreneurs, right? To be stuck and being like, when I'm worrying about where my next client is going to come from, how is this launch going to take out? What if nobody signs up? How am I going to pay my bills? That kind of thing. Like that definitely is not a good recipe for the law of attraction. It does attract exactly that. It attracts like lack, right? So if you're in that lack mindset, that's what will happen, is more of that will come.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does tie in nicely to our last Facebook Live, which we are on our 8th episode, by the way.
It's so exciting. This has been so fun. But yes, I agree. Raising your vibration, that's really, again, if anyone is interested in going back and watching that video, or if you want us to tag you in it, if you want to kind of go back and see what we talked about there, because that, again, is also one of the important steps within this process of just getting really, really zeroed in on and focused on what's so important, and really, just letting all the other noise that's potentially in the world, in your life, just fall away, as they're really focusing on what's truly important to you, on your reason, your why for what it is that you're trying to create in your life and trying to build in your life. And really raising your vibration is the path to doing that. So that, like Leah said, that's a whole other topic within this topic. So if you need more information, go back and watch that one.
Yes.
Does anyone?
So do you have any?
I was going to see if anyone that was watching have questions. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, do you have any tips for viewers?
Yeah. Let me see here. I think that the biggest one is, we've kind of already started to create sort of I guess, an instructions on how to do this, right? So we talked about gratitude. We talked about, getting really, really clear on your vision. And then one of the things that I would add on to that is to, especially, as we're learning how we relate to money and kind of what money brings up in us, and as we're healing through it, especially if you're wanting to accumulate more, one of the things that I do is I just have it out. Like especially when we use cards and plastic all of the time now, sometimes there's something about just actual cash that, we don't see it as much anymore. And I actually saw a really great commercial the other day on a bank where they were talking about that. Because you don't see it as much, it's hard to have that full experience of it. Like what it does, even just holding, a whatever $5 bill, a $20 bill, whatever it is, it does raise your vibration. There's a feeling to it, and tuning into that. So I actually just have, I don't have like wads of cash all over the place, but I make an effort to, just kind of have it around my house. And there's a purpose to it. There's an energy to it. It allows me to feel really abundant, and it's sort of like a reminder of, this is, again, I mentioned money as a resource. It's a tool. It's a vehicle. It's something that I use to do good things in the world, right? So it's kind of like just a reminder for me when I see it there, when I hold it in my hand. And it's a reminder of the good things that I can do and how I. So
You're frozen for a reminder of the good things that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I guess that's kind of a simple one. I'm trying to think if I have anything else that.
But I like that. I like that how you're talking about, money is a tool that can be used for good or bad, really. So I think it was some guru that I listened to online one time who said, it's kind of like electricity. You can use it for something bad. It's like, it's innocent, right? But it's a tool that you can use for something good or something bad. Or a fire, you can use it to light a candle like the one that's behind you, or it can burn forests and cities, right? Or a house, right? So I love how you talked about the actual like handling of the money, or just money in itself, as being, having no energy at all to it. It's the energy that we impose on it. It's the feelings that we impose on it. It's how we see it, that, we don't have enough of it, or there's too much, let me get rid of it, kind of thing. Or how can we do more good in the world with the money that we do have?
Yeah. I mean, it just sort of outlines that principle that I think it can be hard to wrap our heads around, but I think it's so important to grasp it, is that the thoughts that we're having, the beliefs and the thoughts that we're having, they can become our reality. They can become what works our current experiences. So it's so important to really, again, tune in and get clear on what it is that we're thinking, and what it is that how our thoughts may be influencing what we're creating in our lives. Yeah. So again, just another reminder of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's
so
that other than if anyone is interested in more resources in this, Leah and I have both lots of experience, and I think we'd be happy to share what we've learned. If anyone's wanting to delve into this further, or if they're wanting to chat with us further, that's always an option. But I know, is there anything else that you wanted to chat about before we go on to our announcement?
No, I'm just really excited to talk about our announcement. So two things. One is, like Chelsea said, if you are watching this live or in the future, have any questions at all, please tag us in the comments below, or if you feel to reach out to us in private, message us. And if you want to talk about this, any of the work that Chelsea or myself do, and you want to jump on a call with us, we will provide the links below to see how we can help you, thrive in really every area of your life, including your business. So each of us does, different types of coaching, but if it's something that you want to have a conversation about, by all means, click on the links below. And I'm very excited to announce we've been discussing this because every single time we have a girl talk, we're like, oh, we could just keep on talking about all these other topics. And so we came up with a gift for you guys for the holidays. So to treat yourself, for self-care. So I'm just going to pull up the paper that I have here. We are going to be teaching a master class in December. We're going to be announcing the date very, very soon, leading up to it. What you're going to have to do is, if you want to be part of it, it's the very first time that we announce it. If you want to be part of it, please comment below, yes, I'm in. let us know, tag us. If you don't know how to tag, just say, yes, I'm in. I want to be part of this masterclass. It's a free online masterclass.
It's going to be in the
Taught by,
evening too. It's going to be in the evening.
yeah,
So it'll be
yes, in
hopefully
the evening,
yeah.
Eastern time. And so we'll give you a lot more details leading up to it in December. The name of the masterclass is called Giving Yourself Permission to Have a Deliciously Stress-Free Holiday Season. So giving yourself permission to have a deliciously stress-free holiday season. That's a tongue twister. And we're really, really excited to give it because, you know, if you're the kind of person that overgives, overextends of yourself, and you need to, you know, just be in your bubble over the holidays and you know, give yourself self-love and self-care that you know that you desire and deserve, then this masterclass is for you. It's going to be very intimate. Again, it doesn't cost anything, and it will be offered on Zoom. And we have been called to give this masterclass. It's not, you know, we just like randomly come up with these topics, but I would just finally download it.
Leah froze.
Oh, she's frozen again.
Oh, there. I was, I was just waiting to see if you'd come back. Sorry. Okay, keep going.
Yes. Yeah, so if you want to have a stress-free holiday and want to figure out how to ever make that happen,
It's possible.
you need to be, yeah, it is very possible, and you
Yeah.
need to be in on this masterclass, and we will guide you through the steps that we're going to be giving. If you want to be in, just comment below and let us know.
Yes.
Do you have anything else to add to that, Chelsea?
No, just that I'm so excited about it. There is going to be more to it. Like it'll be the masterclass, and it will come with kind of like another little gift that we can take away. It's sort of like a tip sheet that'll help you as well. So that'll all be included. And yeah, as Leah said, we're going to be announcing the date and time, and that'll be, so watch out for that. That'll be coming up soon.
Yes. So thank you so much to everyone that is watching, or if you're watching in the future. We love doing these girl talks. We're always very excited to do them. And we will see you again soon next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.